Turkey has it all. Gorgeous harbors and mountains, cozy villages and bustling cities, epic ancient sites and mouth-watering food. In this video, you'll see all of that, feel Turkey's vibe, enjoy its magnificent views and meet a lot of cats. To feel Turkey to its fullest, you have to come here with an open heart and a bag full of treats. It's our 5th time in Turkey, and we know that cats here are treated like nowhere else in the world. They're not just pets, they're part of the community. The only thing, I have no idea how people with an allergy survive here. I guess they just don't. Here you go.
The capital of cats and the largest city in Turkey is Istanbul. Seagulls, merchants, mosques, street food, the picturesque Bosphorus and traces of centuries of history make the city a living legend. We are spending a few weeks in Turkey, and Istanbul is the perfect starting point for getting to know this country. Its charisma is impossible to miss. Bold, hectic and full of energy. I can even say it has an overwhelming amount of energy. Almost too much to contain. No wonder it's the most populous city in Europe, with 15 million people. Also, its population is the second youngest on the continent, only behind Ankara. As a result, you often find yourself in the flow of noisy crowds. And as for the tourists, they make it even busier. Travelers have a reason to come here. Istanbul is one of the oldest continuously inhabited cities in the world, about 2,700 years old. Several major empires left their marks here: Roman, Byzantine and Ottoman. The city changed names like it changed rulers: Ligas, Byzantium, Augusta Antonia, Nova Roma, Constantinople and finally Istanbul. Each era added its cultural richness, blending architectural styles and creating a monumental atmosphere.
The best starting point to immerse yourself in history is Hagia Sophia. Since it's located in the old town, we took a taxi to this iconic landmark, the most touristic site ever built in this city. However, we hit an unexpected obstacle. So, it's a rainy day today, and we decided to take a taxi to the city center to see Hagia Sophia. And somewhere in the middle of the way, our driver started talking in Turkish. And thanks to Google Translate, we realized that there is some kind of marathon in the city center. So he would have to stop a little bit before Hagia Sophia, and we would walk there. We're like, okay, no problem. And then we got out of the car and figured we would have to walk 30 minutes. It's not a big deal, but the rain kept getting heavier. Judging by the confused looks and wet clothes of the tourists, many expected to be sunbathing, not showering.
Generally, Turkey is a sunny country, but Istanbul has quite many rainy days, about 120 each year, which is even more than London has.
Locals opened umbrellas, put on raincoats, or hid in sheltered spots. Meanwhile, entrepreneurial merchants doubled umbrella prices. Watching all this hustle and bustle was pretty entertaining. And after the Dubai heat, this weather was refreshing for us. But to avoid getting soaked, we tweaked our plan.
It's not the first time we're in Istanbul, so we know a perfect place where to hide from rain.
This spot. Seeing a picture of this mustached man in a fez means that you are somewhere near paradise. Oh, France, just look at all of that.
I usually control my sugar intake, but today we're gonna have it all, for the cultural integration purposes, of course.
So, let me introduce you to the 3 celebrities of the Turkish dessert scene. Baklava. Layers of impossibly thin, buttery filo dough stacked like pages of a notebook. Between these sheets are finely chopped nuts, pistachios, walnuts, almonds, each adding its own flavor and texture. Finally, a syrup made from sugar and honey, sometimes with a hint of rose water or orange blossom, is poured generously over the whole affair, making it sweet and flavorful.
Interestingly, this dessert was tightly connected to religion in many countries. Greeks, for example, made it with 33 layers to honor the Jesus Christ's life. And sultans of the Ottoman Empire even created baklava parade during the holy month of Ramadan.
Today, baklava is a Turkish superstar with an international presence. Over 2,000 specialized baklava shops in Turkey produce hundreds of variations, and it has millions of social media impressions. Alright, let's move to the next one.
Remember Edmund in the Chronicles of Narnia asking for Turkish delight? We have it here too.
Lokum, or Turkish delight, is a chewy, slightly sticky cube dusted with powdered sugar. Made from a simple mix of sugar, water and starch, it's a testament to the magic that happens when you combine humble ingredients with a touch of alchemy.
And this weirdo is my favorite. It is called künefe, and it is as good as it is weird, trust me.
Look at that. It's golden and crispy on the outside, topped with pistachios and drenched in sweet syrup. Inside, there is a thick layer of soft melted cheese. Who in the world would think to make a sweet dessert with hot melted cheese? Whoever it was, I am forever grateful.
A quick flash forward to another great place in Turkey. Just check out the view. We'll show you this scenic area later, but now I want to tell you about our new PDF travel guide on Turkey. We did a huge research on restaurants, hotels, activities and sites and packed it all in this one PDF travel guide. It features Istanbul, Oludeniz, Cappadocia and many other awesome places. And you can get it for free by clicking the link below the video or by scanning the QR code right here. Now, let's get back to Istanbul.
Meanwhile, the rain has stopped and we can finish the last 15 minutes of our walk. Soon, tourist flags and long queues show we're close to one of Istanbul's most important and disputed cultural sites. So here we are, 4 hours later.
This is Hagia Sophia, ancient and massive. Over the years, it expanded, gradually occupying more territory, and now it's hard to figure out how to view it and from which angles to shoot. This is how it looks in an aerial footage on a sunny day. But we're not in the air, and today's weather is not great, so we're circling around trying to capture an appealing angle.
Hagia Sophia is visited by 13 million tourists every year. Basically, if you haven't been in Hagia Sophia, you haven't been in Istanbul at all. Well, from a touristic point of view. For almost 1,000 years, Hagia Sophia had been the largest cathedral in the world. It has also been a museum, and now it's a mosque.
It was originally built by the Byzantine emperor 15 centuries ago and served as a Christian cathedral for nearly 900 years, before being converted into a mosque by the Ottoman Empire, then into a museum by Mustafa Kemal Atatürk, the founder of modern Turkey, and then again reconverted into a mosque. The Christian frescoes were plastered over, then opened and restored, covered again, and so on. Now only Turkish citizens can enter the mosque through the main entrance. Others have to observe the temple's exquisite interior from a height of a balcony.
There have been disputes whether Hagia Sophia should operate as a church or as a mosque. However, for me, it will always be a testament how histories and culture mix over time, but the core remains the same. It will always be one of the most monumental religious structures in the world, both outside and inside. For centuries, Hagia Sophia has inspired architects worldwide, especially in Istanbul. It has profoundly impacted the construction of Ottoman-era mosques that dominate the skyline. Now there are thousands of them. If you planned to see all of them by visiting one mosque a day, You would need to live here for 8 years. Since we don't have 8 years, we will prioritize one particular mosque.
Here is Hagia Sophia's close neighbor on the Sultan Ahmed Square, the Blue Mosque. It features classical Ottoman architectural style, but has some Byzantine elements too, in some way reminding Hagia Sophia, which only showcases the cultural fusion of that era. But the Blue Mosque has something else to boast about. The mosque is nicknamed the Blue Mosque because of the blue ceramic tiles which adorn its interior. However, the Ottomans never called it the Blue Mosque. It was named after Sultan Ahmed, who ordered to build this mosque.
Sultan Ahmed ordered the central dome to be flanked by 6 minarets, a distinctive feature since most mosques have up to 4. The problem was, the only mosque known to have 6 minarets before was the Prophet Muhammad's mosque in Medina. You can't just outdo the second most important mosque in the world. To resolve this, Ahmed I funded the addition of a 7th minaret to the Prophet's mosque and successfully built his own with 6.
And when they built it, they didn't intend it only as a place of worship, but also the place where they could go to hospital, to school, a place where they could create community. And what I feel now is that this mosque is beautiful, of course, but its most important feature is that it still brings people together and creates this shared sense of community.
You've probably noticed that I'm wearing a headscarf, which women are required to wear inside the mosques. Where to buy one if you don't have it? At the Bazaar, of course. The Grand Bazaar, the oldest and largest of its kind.
I have difficult relationships with bazaars. Long story short, I hate them. Even when we were filming Dubai, we didn't cover the Gold Souk because I didn't want to come back there. Even today, Dee almost forced me to come here, because it is the Grand Bazaar.
The Grand Bazaar is chaos on a grand scale. Thousands of merchants sell all kinds of stuff, mostly useless in my view. The strong smell of cigarettes is stuck in the air. It is an overcrowded maze. A maze of the devil, indeed. However, when emotions cool down, you become an observer. And now you see the bazaar as a way of life. A philosophy that injects the culture and spreads from here throughout the city. This place is important to fully feel and understand the vibe of Istanbul.
I would say that Grand Bazaar is actually the best initiation into Istanbulite ways of life. It is the oldest covered market in the world, and since 15th century it has only been growing, and now it expands across 61 streets and has 4,000 stores. It is actually as large as Vatican City itself.
And just as Vatican is a state within a city, the Grand Bazaar functions almost like its own economic state within the bustling metropolis of Istanbul. The bazaar was established by Mehmed the Conqueror, the visionary leader of the Ottoman Empire, who wanted to make it the center of trade and commerce. And if you ask me, he succeeded.
First, it attracts 400,000 visitors daily. Second, it supports an enormous amount of jobs, not only directly, but also through restaurants and cafes. And third, it's a living, breathing testimony to the richness of Turkish culture and history.
Part of the culture here is price negotiation. The art of bargaining is a ritual that still lives on the streets of the Grand Bazaar. All the prices are artificially inflated, and the shopkeepers are professional bargainers. It feels like an exciting game, and I decided to play it too.
How much is this one?
300 lira.
300.
300.
Can I unfold it? I'll buy it for 100. Yes, 100. 150. No, 150. Okay. He left.
Not buying?
He left. I thought he would say 200.
Just take 200 and give it to him.
Okay, let's try. What about 200? 200.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes. Okay, thank you. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
What surprised us at the bazaar was how they drink tea here, or as locals say, chai. A person with a tray full of tea glasses goes around the market, delivering them non-stop.
Turks drink tea like Italians drink espresso, anywhere, anytime. They serve it super hot in this slim-waisted glass. And it is very strong for my taste. Nothing like English breakfast from a tea bag. Very strong.
By the way, I recorded this on the roof of our hotel. Rooftop restaurants are an Istanbul feature. They're almost at every corner, and the views are awesome. This shot was made at our hotel. Thousands of red roof tiles, the Bosphorus, a huge waving flag, and seagulls, of course. Stunning. And once we stumbled upon this restaurant. It has views in all directions, offering sights of the Blue Mosque and the sea. And the food is excellent.
Not only here, in general, the food in Istanbul is outstanding. Of course, kebabs are a local favorite, but it doesn't stop there. Istanbul never quite let go of its imperial habit of bringing the best of everything to the capital, even desserts.
So, today we are going to try something that is inherently American, was born in Spain but made famous here in Turkey. People crowd to get into the restaurants to try this.
San Sebastian cheesecake. It turns out the family-owned recipe ended up in the hands of two Turkish ladies who adopted it for their local bakery. Thanks to their taste buds and Instagram, which made it popular, there is now a whole area near the Galata Tower famous for its cheesecakes. Oh my god, they're everywhere, in every cafe and almost on every table. Topped with warm melted chocolate. Let's try one.
Creamy, sweet, tender. I love it.
It might seem easy to gain a couple of extra pounds here, but the good news is that Istanbul is incredibly hilly. You'll be walking up and down all the time. We even did it with a stroller, so it felt like a constant workout. On the streets, you'll still be tempted to eat more. Roasted chestnuts, grilled corn, shawarma, and simit, which is a round bun topped with sesame seeds. And how they serve ice cream here is a whole story in itself. Take a look. It's a pure trickery.
Pistachio.
Okay.
I'm really bad.
Thank you. Pistachio, okay? Efendim? Merhabalar. Prova test.
Turks have a strong culture of show, especially when we talk about food. Remember a meme chef Salt Bey? He is Turkish. And this gentleman randomly invited us to his shop to show baklava spinning on the conveyor belt. As a matter of fact, entering random buildings is our must-do at any place we travel to.
It's a bookstore. Want to come in?
Yeah!
We'll be challenging because I have stairs, but let's go.
In Turkey, the buildings are like books. You can enjoy the facade, but the real magic happens when you open them. I'm a big fan of hidden spots, and finding a hidden bookstore is another level for me. Although, if you're not a bookworm like me, just popping in for a cup of good coffee is totally worth it. Libraries are my personal house, and what I love about traveling is that you can wander into places like this and get lost for ages. Right next to the bookshop, there is another building you shouldn't pass by. It's a hotel called Pera Palace, and it's not an ordinary hotel.
Just like Hagia Sophia inspired Ottoman architects and Spanish cheesecake inspired Turkish bakers, Istanbul inspired one of the most well-known stories in the world, Agatha Christie's Orient Express. And now we're in the hotel where she actually wrote it.
Now, Pera Palace is a museum hotel where you can feel like 19th century intelligentsia, sipping expensive coffee in a French-style cafe or enjoying a cigar surrounded by historic books and journals. I understand why Hemingway, Agatha Christie, and Jacqueline Kennedy chose it for their stay in Istanbul. Luxurious and escapist, it provides a great alternative for those seeking a different kind of Istanbul.
Overall, finding sites full of history while walking the streets of Istanbul is easy. Unfortunately, not all of them were available during our visit.
Let me show you how the disappointment looks like. This is the entrance to Basilica Cistern, an ancient architectural masterpiece of the Byzantine era. Huge underground water pool containing 80,000 cubic meters of water. And it is closed, temporarily closed for maintenance until the May 2nd. And we're leaving on the May 2nd. So it means we're missing the place that looks like the Chamber of Secrets. I suppose we have no other choice but to show you the videos made by others.
Built in the 6th century, Basilica Cistern was the largest of several hundred ancient cisterns lying beneath the city. Its primary purpose was to store water for the Great Palace of Constantinople and its gardens. Those must have been impressive gardens, I must say. Also, one cannot miss two Medusa head columns at the northwest corner of the cistern. I guess their reflection in the water is why this palace gives off a Harry Potter vibe. During our trip, we were lucky with closed sites.
Galata Tower, also closed.
And on the last day, we had to cancel everything.
We had big plans for today. We wanted to take a boat across the Bosphorus to meet with our Turkish friends for an interview, but we had to cancel everything because it's a Labor Day today, which turns out to be a big deal for Turkish people. All the roads are closed, all the landmarks are closed, all the streets are full of police cars, and the hotel management advises not to leave the hotel because the risk of protests is very high.
And the protests did happen at Taksim Square, which is close to our hotel. Workers protested for labor rights and better working conditions. It resulted in serious clashes with the police and the arrest of over 200 protesters. The next morning, the situation normalized, which was fortunate, as we had to go to the airport.
Istanbul can trap for days, if not weeks, but there is so much more to see in Turkey. So, it's time to move to the next location.
Here we go, flying to a city that is usually off the tourist maps, Izmir. Izmir is the third largest city in the country and is one of the main contributors to the Turkish GDP. It is an important port located at the Aegean Sea and is more visited by business people than tourists.
Even the main promenade in Izmir gives away that it's a very calm, non-touristic residential city. There is no street food, no one is trying to sell you anything, and there is nothing much to see really. Seems like no reason to be here. But we arrived to Izmir not because of Izmir itself, but because we're taking a step back into the past to see one of the most important cities of the ancient world, Ephesus.
friends, welcome to Ephesus, arguably the world's greatest archaeological site.
Ephesus was once a vibrant metropolis, thriving under the rule of the Persians, the Greeks, and the later Romans. It was a cultural and commercial hub with a population of about 250,000 people, enormous for its era.
Ephesus used to be a hotspot for the celebrities of the ancient times. Legend has it that even Cleopatra and Mark Antony visited it for their honeymoon.
Actually, that's fake news. In reality, they came here not for a honeymoon, but to kill Cleopatra's sister.
Some great structures here have either survived or been restored. One of them is the Great Theatre. At its peak, it could accommodate 25,000 people, making it one of the biggest amphitheaters in the world. Another one is the Library of Celsus. It could hold up to 12,000 scrolls, making it one of the largest ancient libraries in the world, second only to the Library of Alexandria.
However, not all the buildings survived 2,000 years. For example, these ruins are of a former brothel. We know that thanks to this nearby advertisement. The footprint points the way, the woman's head indicates the type of establishment, and the heart suggests the nature of the services provided.
Tourists are also amused by the ancient public toilets. Roman men used to sit right next to each other here, discussing pressing matters. There were no public toilets for women, and generally their interests were of little concern here.
All in all, Ephesus is a great monument, with the good, bad and ugly of the ancient times.
What I really like about this place is that you can walk past the ancient walls without any barriers, touch the stones, and almost feel yourself like part of the history.
Right outside the city is the Temple of Artemis, which used to look like this. Now, unfortunately, it looks like this.
This lonely pillar is what's left of once magnificent Temple of Artemis, one of the 7 wonders of the world. It used to attract thousands of pilgrims when Ephesus was a big city.
Now nothing resembles the past greatness of the building. Almost all the stones were taken to build other structures, and storks have built their nest on top of the column.
Another site near Ephesus surprisingly has nothing to do with the Greeks and is super important for Christians.
The site we're about to visit was discovered because of a miracle. In 19th century, a German nun had a vision and was able to describe the precise place in very much details, despite she's never been to Ephesus. This place is a house of a Virgin Mary.
It's a small house where the Virgin Mary spent the rest of her life after leaving Jerusalem. We weren't allowed to film inside, but it's quite a humble place. Visitors pray and write down their wishes, and visually there is nothing particularly special about this area, but the atmosphere here is really nice.
The surroundings of Ephesus are quite natural, hilly and green. We wanted to see more of these landscapes, so it was time to leave the big cities behind.
In Turkey, it's super easy to travel between the cities by plane, but I believe that you can't really enjoy the beauty of the country from an airplane window. So we're hitting the road.
Turkey's west coast is full of green mountains. This landscape gives us a meditative feeling, so we were glued to the window for the 5-hour drive. But if you take a slight detour from the main road, you can catch a few interesting spots. We certainly can't miss them. Our first stop is the mountain village of Şirince. It's situated at an elevation of about 300 meters above sea level and is super tiny. It has around 180 small houses, many with stone construction, tiled roofs, and wooden balconies. And the view of the mountains from these houses is simply stunning.
Şirince originally was called Sirkince, which translates as ugly from Turkish. It was a little trick played by the founders of the village to deter the outsiders from their beautiful home. Later it was renamed to Şirince, which means charming, and it is charming indeed.
The streets here are very authentic, narrow and paved with stone. Old ladies sell honey, spices and wreaths made of wildflowers. Tea bowls on a stone stove, and of course cats roam around. It's beautiful too. Roses grow on bushes, the views are stunning, and the houses are lovely.
A funny thing happened with Şirince in 2012. Back then it was a popular theory that the world is gonna end on December 21st. And for some reason, some people thought that Şirince would be one of the few places on Earth that would survive the Judgment Day. So imagine thousands of believers in the Mayan prophecy coming in this small village of just 600 people. As you know, the doomsday didn't come, but I don't think that they were upset. They spent a few weeks in a really beautiful place.
Also, Şirince is famous for its wine. The village is well known for producing fruit wines, including varieties made from peaches, strawberries, blueberries, and more. It was easy to lose ourselves here, but we had a long way ahead.
One pleasant surprise was that the highways run between mountains and along the coast, so there are no tunnels and the beautiful views are constant. It doesn't mean that there are no tunnels in Turkey at all, but we didn't encounter them, and there are definitely not as many as in Switzerland or Norway. It was time to make a stop, and we arrived at Kuşadası. Kuşadası is a 100% resort town with all the accompanying features. There is a big Hollywood-style sign with that town's name, a decent beach, a large cruise ship, and a port where several hundred boats are docked. We stopped here just for lunch. Luckily, Turkish food is everywhere we go, and spending some time with the sea view is always pleasurable.
Before we go, we took a look at one more site, Pigeon Island. Despite being just a picturesque island, look at how cinematically the waves break against the rocks. It's quite a historical place. This castle is the Pirate Castle. Not because it was occupied by pirates, but because the Byzantines used it to prevent pirate attacks.
Back on the road. Another thing about the highway is that the road along our entire route was of excellent quality. Despite the general perception, Turkish roads are quite safe. For example, the number of road fatalities per 1 million inhabitants in the United States is 129, while in Turkey it is 67. Both are behind Germany, which has 34, but the situation in Turkey is definitely not bad.
By the way, another place we could visit is Pamukkale. Its Instagram version looks like this, which I must admit is really attractive. However, in reality, it looks like this. These days, the place is overcrowded with tourists, which may cause a real damage to its fragile natural ecosystem. So we're intentionally skipping it.
Even without Pamukkale, there were plenty of natural beauties along our route, and we reached one of them just at the sunset.
We've just stopped at magnificent observation deck. See for yourself.
Sunset awaited us at a height of 500 meters. I got completely captivated here. The green mountains descending into the sea, covered with trees, look incredibly beautiful. And the cool mountain air pricks your chest. I'm getting goosebumps even now as I record this voiceover. We arrived at the hotel when it was already pitch dark. We couldn't see anything and were too tired, so we saved all of the activities for tomorrow.
It is time to relax and recharge, and we've chosen to stay in Oludeniz, a small resort village on the southwestern coast of Turkey. Oludeniz boasts awesome beaches and some stunning natural spots that we will show you later. However, each year hundreds of thousands of people come here not just for the sea, but also for the sky.
Oludeniz is internationally recognized as one of the best paragliding destinations in the world. One reason is the favorable weather conditions almost year-round, making it ideal for paragliding. The thermal currents in the area allow for extended flight times. Paragliders can soar for 30 to 45 minutes, enjoying the serene experience and spectacular scenery. They jump from 2,000 meters at Babarak mountain. Getting up here is possible only by cable car, but for cowards like us, there is not much to do here. Maybe just visit a little restaurant. But if you are brave enough to jump, you'll be rewarded with breathtaking views. From here, you can see Oludeniz beach, very scenic and hugely popular among travelers. But this beach is not why we are here.
Turkey is rich with seaside vacation spots. Antalya and its surroundings, Bodrum, Marmaris, each has its features and awesome resorts. But in Oludeniz, you shouldn't stay in the hotel.
All the best places in Oludeniz are located either by the sea or in the sea. So the best way to explore them is by boat.
Their first stop is this island. Just as it should be, it's rocky, green, with ancient Byzantine structures and hidden tunnels. For a long time, this island was home to Saint Nicholas.
This is the St. Nicholas, or you may know him under the name of Santa Claus. And he really lived on this island, but he never wore the red fur coat because, let's be honest, it's super hot in Turkey in the summer. And in general, this image of a chubby man with rosy cheeks and fat belly was created by Coca-Cola managers. He never really looked like that.
Next to St. Nicholas Island is Aquarium Bay. The bay is named Aquarium due to its exceptionally clear waters, which provide excellent visibility, much like looking into an aquarium. This makes it a popular spot for swimming, snorkeling, and diving. It's surrounded by rocky cliffs, so all the snorkelers come here by boat, as we did too.
Our boat is a catamaran sailboat. It holds a group of 15 people, including the captain. Catamarans are perfect for sea trips. They go at a speed of about 20 km per hour and are not likely to heel excessively, making for a more comfortable ride, especially in rough seas.
So we're approaching a place considered one of the most beautiful natural attractions, Butterfly Valley. And let's get things straight. Despite its name, there aren't many butterflies. This spot is hyped for a different reason: dramatic 350-meter cliffs.
Butterfly Valley is accessible only by boat. You can get by car to the edges of the cliffs above, but getting down from there is crazy dangerous.
In this canyon, building anything is forbidden. You can come live here with your own tent or rent one of those already set on the beach. The beach is supposed to be secluded, but so many loud boats and yachts around destroy the tranquil atmosphere.
At this point, we've seen a lot, but had one destination still left on our list.
So here we go, packing our luggage again, because we have one destination left. And this is the most romantic destination in Turkey. For us, it will take 12 hours to reach it, but for you, it will be just seconds. So, we arrived to the hotel, to our last destination. And this hotel mimics an experience of living in a cave. I'm a person who is not a big fan of closed spaces, so I'm super curious how this night will go for me.
No windows, no daylight, stone dust falling from the ceiling, the cave. Good night to me.
It felt so good, so cozy to fall asleep in the cave. But in the morning when I woke up and there was no windows, the first thing I wanted to do was to get outside. But I'm here at 5 a.m. in the morning to see whether expectations about this place will meet the reality. So let's see.
Dear friends, welcome to Cappadocia.
I'm so impressed. It's just incredible. And I think it's one of the rare cases when something made by people actually creates even a more beautiful scenery. Because here, nature is beautiful anyways, but somehow balloons, they make it even better.
Alright, we'll get back to the balloons later. Now, let us tell you about the main features of Cappadocia. Let's start with the hotels. There are almost no big hotel brands, and most of the hotels are family-owned and operated. They're pretty much the same. Many have cave rooms and serve homemade breakfast. Here is the owner of the place we stayed at, cooking something for us. Another feature is rooftops. Our hotel had Cappadocia's classics, with cushions and carpets. Also, the terrace was at the hotel near ours and basically everywhere. Rooftops are all around the area. The view from these rooftops opens up to the rocks. They are primarily the result of volcanic activity millions of years ago. Volcanic eruptions from surrounding mountains deposited thick layers of ash, which solidified into a soft rock called tuff. They come in different shapes, but most of them look like this, with holes inside.
For locals, these holes in the rocks are not merely decorative. For centuries, they served as homes, shelters, and even housed secret churches.
Unfortunately, we were not permitted to film inside, but take a look at these photos. All these paintings were preserved inside the caves for almost 2,000 years. It's amazing that they survived till our days.
What I find super cool about Cappadocia is that you can stand in one place and enjoy the view for such a long time because each of the rock formations here is so unique.
Speaking of uniqueness, these tall, thin spires of rock are called fairy chimneys. But when I look at them, I see castle towers. Or mushrooms. By the way, there is a police office in this mushroom. For some reason, these fairy chimneys are super hyped. But I was more impressed by something else.
It's a pretty cloudy day. Unfortunately, nothing we can do with that, but this place promised to be spectacular at the sunset.
We waited a little with noisy groups of tourists until the sun peeked out from behind the clouds. So, it was time to launch the drone. This is the Red Valley. Millions of years ago, the lava that formed the tuff in this valley contained quite a bit of iron. When the lava cooled and solidified, iron minerals got trapped and oxidized over time. Thanks to the wonders of nature and physics, we can now observe this beauty.
We still have a few things left to see in Cappadocia, but I already want to share some of my takeaways.
So far, I have two insights about Cappadocia. The first one is that it's definitely not the land of flowing dresses and magical carpets like Instagram pictures it, or like I was picturing before coming here. It has a totally different vibe. Here you have to do lots of different experiences, like hot air balloon riding, or horse riding, or going hiking into the wild, which sometimes requires wearing special clothes, which I don't have with me. And my second insight is that sometimes you have to go off the beaten path in Cappadocia. There are three main towns, which are mostly visited by tourists, but there is also so much more to see a part of them. And today we're doing a very different type of hike, which is further from those three towns.
The area I'm talking about is Ihlara Valley. It's a 150-meter deep, narrow canyon with steep sides and a river flowing through it. The woods along the river isn't something you expect from Cappadocia, but it was like a breath of fresh air. Speaking of which, it's time for the last adventure on this trip.
It's 4:30 in the morning and many people are already awake in Cappadocia. The weird thing is that I'm doing the most romantic experience in Cappadocia without my wife.
For safety reasons, small kids aren't allowed in the balloons, and I'm afraid to go alone. So I sent Jay on this mission.
Here comes the sun.
You cannot stop soaking in the beauty, no matter how many times you've been to the country that has it all.
After several empires, the revolution, and with tens of millions of visitors coming to Turkey every year, this country has managed to remain incredibly authentic.